I'm a bit mean, I am. We started talking, us girlies, we chat to each other quite regularly. But Gillian, we've got Gillian and Amy here. Hi, girls.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Jillian.
What were you saying, Gillian?
Sorry?
The Bollywood bit. Hollywood.
It was about Elroy Hubbard and what's his name? The other guy. Anyway, it'll come to me. Well, they're all related. Like I can't remember the guy I was trying to think of the name of, but like he's the father of Barbara Bush. And, and so that it turns out that all these people, every generation, they're just rich kids, really rich kids running around doing whatever they want, and they kind of start cults, and they get into drugs, and they get into
being controlled by something else.
Well, yeah, mind control.
Do you know, the other day, Gillian, I did put this on a video that I thought was really weird, when they were showing you this accident on the side of the road, and then they said, the woman said, well, they've been psychologically trained. So she said, well, in the car accident, we've got to look like we're dying, and they're filming it, and everybody's obviously looking on to see them dying, but they're not dying, and then, of course, it goes on the news later on. So actors aren't actors anymore, they're psychologically trained for their parts.
And mind control's been around for like thousands of years. I mean, it's how you get kamikaze Japanese air pilots.
Yeah.
It's how you get Bing Crosby as Hitler.
Yeah, so it's something that we've known for years. It's not some super technology that's just been invented. But this crew, the nutty side of the crew, they more get into the esoteric stuff where they are trying to channel different entities and more that yucky stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all crazy. It's just, when you look at it all, I thought that was just that, but it's not. They're something else. They're like CIA agents or something instead, because they're...
Well, and they get used by the CIA or intertwined with them.
Yes.
And because they were looking into magic, and they wanted to know if it could be of any use in intelligence. But I kind of think, hypnosis, that kind of seems to be magic. Through anyone doesn't know how the heck they're doing it. And then just the illusion stuff, I guess.
Right.
It's all an illusion, though, isn't it?
And they get into philosophy, because they have the time to.
I mean, I always thought, I've said this before, but, they were giving out, they get OBEs, MBEs, they get KGBs. I just thought that was an accolade for being a good actor. Obviously, the higher up you go, obviously, I don't know, some of them are to do with film, some of them more to do with art, but they're not. That's just an acceleration. So if you get a KGB, you've done a really good job for the system. You probably had about 20 parts to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those videos that are coming out.
They've all got businesses.
And playing double roles, it's just like, oh my goodness. And they've been doing it forever. I mean, Shakespeare is Sir Francis Bacon.
That's why I put that video out, that Greg Roberts, it's Greg Roberts, I think that's his name. Because he put that video together, well, his videos are really put together well to show us that they're not who they say they are, none of them. I mean, Bing Crosby had 15 roles.
Yeah.
I know.
I watched that video. I didn't know a lot of the actors that were in it, but it was just amazing how the same face with different hair and everything, they just look completely different.
Yeah.
And I always thought, like Batman, how can you put on a mask and we don't know who you are? Well, it's the same as you can't change someone's hair and clothing and we're not going to recognise them, but shit, they do, and we don't.
Did you get as far as Harrison Ford and Ringo? They're the Bee Gees. The two of the Bee Gees.
Yes,
and
I
another
saw
one
that.
as well. There's another one. Barry.
Not the Bee Gees, that's the Beatles, Harrison.
Yeah, but
Ringo
they're
is
the Bee Gees as well.
Yeah.
And then there's another one that was younger in there, and he's died, but he looks just like, who was it? I can't remember which one it was now. It wasn't Fred Astaire, but then Fred Astaire's Bing Crosby. They're all like Bing Crosby. Oh my god. And like Dean Martin. Oh my god, that was a bit of a. And oh, what was his name? Bing Crosby and Gene Kelly. Oh my god, that's
it.
Singing in the rain. I'm singing in the rain. They're the same person. But what people do, because someone put a question in and they said, how could they be? You know, they're sometimes at the same press releases, and I have to say, no, he's what, like Fred Astaire, he's one of the Hitlers. There's a few people that played Hitler, so they're just revolving. They were doing the same sort of thing, except, well, I don't know how they were doing it then, but they were doing the same sort of thing as today.
Yes.
Except you probably could only go to the cinema and see all that news and everything. You know, they were going to the cinema to watch the news and stuff, whereas now you just watch it straight directly into your house.
That's right.
It's just a bit mind-boggling, though, that, you know,
Oh,
who's going to want to go and see a film now?
That's right.
Who wants to go and watch a Tom Hanks or a Tom Cruise or one of their videos now? Who wants to go and watch one when you think, oh... And anyway, they've been made up in the videos, haven't they? I mean, sometimes they show you how they make an actor into someone else. He doesn't even sound like himself. He sounds like someone else. You know, he's got a different voice on. They're sort of showing you how they do it. Anyway.
Well, Alistair Crowley, that was the name I was trying to think of before.
Well, I had the same
Barbara
problem
Bush,
here, because Highclere Castle is just up the road from me, about 10 miles. And they used Highclere Castle as Downton Abbey. And then what it was is about, well, a few earls and whatever they are, ladies, no, not ladies, what are they, Countess. She was in the Second World War. I can't remember her name. I did a video on her. It's really bad of me to forget her name. But she is like an illegitimate Rothschild. So she had loads of money, and her husband's the one that found Tutankhamun. Except when you actually look at the pictures, you can't see him with any of the tombs.
Oh! Guess what? Oh, that's another thing I heard. Is because maybe because David Rothschild died, all the subordinates, all the people under it, they're fighting over the remains. Who's getting what?
Oh, that makes sense.
I want to have 11 parts. I want to have 15 parts. I want to play the president.
So maybe it's not so much the Queen, although she's quite up there. Again, it's the bankers, the Rothschilds. They are above royalty, ish.
That's right.
So when do you think the Hollywood sign went up, Amy? Just asking.
Oh, I'm not even sure.
Let's have a quick look on the internet. I'll get Hollywood sign.
On the internet.
Hollywood.
Yeah, well, they wanted to get out of New York or something because of the taxes and things. So they went to a state. They decided to where they could.
Oh,
so
they've got pictures of it being made.
I don't know.
We're going to look at encyclopedia. I'm going to go to Wikipedia. Let's have a look at Wikipedia. Right now, let's go.
But didn't Disney do a lot of the original Hollywood?
I think so.
So it's 40 years ago it was made.
1923. She called Hollywood Land.
Yeah, I've got it now. 1923. I saw in a picture it said 40 years ago. It says 1923. Hollywood by now represented not just a city, but an industry, a lifestyle, and increasing aspiration. Was officially crowned when the Hollywood Land sign was erected in 1923.
Yeah.
And then there's a bit more information over here, which I'll just put on for that they can see.
1949, they changed it just to Hollywood instead of Hollywood Land.
Well, let's have a look there. 1923. Let's take that number, stick it in, take that out. Hollywood sign, 1923. Let's see what it says. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because we've done Fred Astaire and all that, and that would have been in the 30s. Right, here we go. There's pictures of them making it here. It says images 1923. Oh, it does, yeah, there. It says Hollywood Land. On that one it does. So look at that picture. I'm just opening up on here. Quite amazing, isn't it? Did you know it was called Hollywood Land, Amy? Amy?
Oh, no, I never knew till we looked it up, but I knew it was Land. I thought it was just Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm sure Walt Disney had something to do with it.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm not sure if in the end, if they all got bought out anyway by the powers that be, they came in over the top.
Yeah.
That's one version they've released anyway.
Oh, and there's a house up on the hill as well, under the Hollywood. There's like a house.
Oh.
There's a big house there. What the hell's that?
The original house to the estate. The original estate.
I don't know. In the 19... Let's have a look. Let's put down for the date. Hang on, let's get to that there. History of the sign in 16 rare photographs. There's a house there in front of it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
there isn't a house there now, is there? It's not as high up as that, but there's a house there. On any of the pictures, they don't show you a house. Like this one, there's no house. But there's a house here.
Probably had it removed.
Another one here.
Hollywood, you know how they have sets to make their movies, but they go all around the world making sets, and they leave them behind. They don't pull them apart, like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings in New Zealand, and so they leave bits behind, and they just
yes.
So, and then I said, geopolymer, or man-made stones, and the pyramids and Tutankhamun and all that's a load of bullshit, Carter was for. So it just makes you wonder, like, is that a leftover Hollywood set?
Yes.
And that's why it doesn't make sense, because it's just...
Right.
Although there are heaps of other pyramids, that doesn't really make sense in theory. I was wondering that for a little while.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, maybe half these old ancient cities and ruins and things weren't for people to live in. They were, just like made it because you could.
Yes.
Hollywood said it was
that.
It's one thing and never used again. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a picture of the house in it again, and you can see that there's a house at the bottom of the hill. And there's also another cottage here. There's the White House.
Because Tartaria, the advanced culture on Earth before, big crash a few hundred years ago, where were their toilets? There are no toilets.
Right.
How to explain that? How can they be advanced with no toilets?
Right.
Mind you, we did notice that when they were talking about the Tartarians, they used to just have air. They're breathonians.
Right.
Or they had a device to get rid of waste to use it in a way that we don't. But then you still have to have somewhere to deposit that waste, and there was nowhere in this house.
Right.
So were they houses meant for
Yeah,
people to live
Brian
in,
said
or
that.
they
Brian Forrester
sets?
said that. He said they couldn't have been dwellings because, you know, that Petra, it's 12 miles back. There's just great big storerooms. There's no windows. There's nothing about beds. There's nothing. There's toilets. No nothing in there. That's what he said on the hangout.
See, there's this Rothschild. Is it the Rockefellers? It might be Rockefellers. I think it's Rothschilds. It's this big hotel that opened up in England or America. I can't remember which one. And anyway, it's in the newspapers. And there was one toilet. It's like this 100-room motel. It's frigging massive. It's like a mansion, a chateau looking thing. And there was only one toilet downstairs in the cleaners' dwellings. So they had to close the place down, do some renovation, and it's only just been opened, had its first lot of people in there, and straight away all these wealthy people are saying there's no toilet, there's nowhere.
Oh wow! I didn't hear of that. I never heard of that. Wow.
I don't know, like.
Oh, it's all a bit strange, isn't it?
Yes.
There's no way to really
And
go
if they
back either and look at it properly, is there? Because we can't.
No.
And if there were different sorts of people, where the tall people couldn't get in the short people's doorway, so what's going on there?
That's right.
I hope everybody realises that when it's Hollywood land, the sign's longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The word land.
I don't see how they fitted
Yeah,
it on
because-
there, to be honest. It's Hollyland.
I guess in the beginning it wasn't a city, it was an industrial estate, yes.
Oh yeah.
This one says Hollywood sign from 1923 to 1949. Hollywood sign, California, Los Angeles history. Do you want
But in the beginning, I think they built the houses in there, didn't they, where the executives could live, like, they would live there. Enough to spread out the whole city.
Well, it just goes back to the one at Wikipedia. I just had a look. It was just back at Wikipedia. I must admit that a lot of people moan about Wikipedia, but you know, if you want to get a bit of information, it's usually the place to go. I'm going to look it up and see what it says.
I know.
You know, they do have information in there, whether you like it or not. It's one of the places where you can find most things.
Yeah, that's right.
It's got to wait for the page to load up. It's just loading up Wikipedia. Right, here we go. Los Angeles, it just tells you where it is, area of Santa Monica Hill Mountains, spelled out in 45 foot, 13.7 meters tall, white capital letters, and a 350 foot long. It was originally created in 1923 as a temporary advertisement for the local estate development.
Yeah.
That's what you said,
Yeah.
but due to recognition, the sign was left up. The sign had been a frequent target of pranks and vandalism across decades, but it's since undergone restoration, including installation of a security system. The sign is protected and promoted by non-profit Hollywood Sign Trust, while its site and the surrounding land are part of the Griffin Park. The sign makes frequent appearances in popular culture, particularly in establishing shots for films and for television programs. Wow, isn't that amazing? It was set up to advertise a housing estate.
Yes.
Signs of similar style but spelling different words are frequently seen. The Hollywood Chamber of Commerce holds trademark rights to the Hollywood sign. That's crazy, then, isn't it? If it's a non-profit thing.
Isn't the wood of holly trees, isn't that what they use for wands in Harry Potter? And
Right. Visitors can hike to the sign, to the the Bronson Basin entrance to Griffin Park or Griffin Park Observatory. There's also a tailhead near the Lake Hollywood Reservoir outside Griffith Park, and although not on an access point itself, there is popular scenic vista point around Hollywood Park near the tailhead. And it says origin. There's quite a lot. There's a bit more underneath. So which houses were they doing then? Because there's no houses there. Where would the houses have been then? Hello,
yeah, I don't know.
It says Hollywood sign 1923-1949 Griffith Park, Lee, Hollywood Hills, Los Angeles. Repaired 1949, rebuilt in 1978, repainted in 2005, cost $21,000. Wood roof and whatever that is. Hollywood technical details. Yeah, just tells you a little bit more there.
Well, like I said, I think it was for an estate for the new producers, Hollywood movie producers.
It had to be houses, but you don't see any houses.
They wanted to, or maybe they hadn't started then.
Yeah.
It's obviously in the 1940s that started. No, 1920 something is when the sign went up, wasn't it? For houses.
It might have taken a decade or two, you know. Understanding was they were.
Yeah.
Or the establishment, maybe not.
Let's just put the.
I can't remember. Their version of the story.
Right.
Well, yeah. It obviously meant something else then, didn't it? It was obviously for something else.
Yeah.
Or it evolves into that, like, because it's there, it gets used. I don't know. Or, most likely created for a purpose.
I have seen it. I have seen that sign myself when I went to America when I was 16. We went to Los Angeles. It was great. We went to. I loved it. We went to Disneyland and we went there for 2 days, and we went to Universal Studios, which was it had Jaws and all things like that, and I think it was all to do with Star Wars and stuff like that. At the time I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't realise it was all to do with this.
Right.
We stayed in a motel, just like on the television. I was so made up for that.
Oh.
We went for 7 days.
Oh, that sounds nice. Oh.
My aunt and uncle, they're not alive anymore, but we went there, and I was just so amazed because we just don't have roads like this. This motorcycle went past and he had his legs up because obviously he's travelling, he put his legs up. And these little things to put his legs up, and I was like, wow, look at him. But it took us about 7 hours to get there from San Jose, well, just outside San Jose is where my aunt lived, which is about an hour from San Francisco. And then it was motorway all the way, and it took about 7 hours to get there.
Wow. Yeah, I've never been there myself.
Wow.
Wow.
I wasn't looking at it like I look today. Like if I'd gone now, I'd be totally different with my eyes now to how I was then. Is there anything else we want to say on this? Because we've been recording and it's got to 24 minutes.
Yeah, that was about it, I think.
Yeah,
although
so
I did see today. You know how there's like Hollywood and there's Bollywood, but we've also got this big Chinese component, especially in the manufacturing area. I saw an ad today saying your next computer could be made in India.
Oh yes.
They're gonna switch from
Bollywood's
China to India.
the Indian version of Hollywood, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they make more money than
Do
Hollywood. Yeah, they have a bigger audience.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they're all to do with love. All their films is to do with love. Love, love, love.
There's more people in India than China, so 1.5 billion. That's bigger than America.
Wow.
West put together.
Yeah.
Yeah, little hidden India, hey?
Yes, the silent achiever.
I'm surprised China didn't have one.
I know.
Well, we don't know anymore because they might have dragged all the signs down. We're just finding, like for instance, I did one on the what are the 3 pictures of the four presidents? Mount Rushmore, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, that looks very sus, and a few people wrote in there they couldn't believe that this was put up so many years ago. And there's also a hidden room in there with supposedly, I don't know if there's documents. We read it at the time, but
yes.
yeah, so that's all weird. And this was probably made the same time. I know it's just slats and that, but we don't know.
Oh, there's no pictures of Mount Rushmore being built or carved. And
Well, there is men up there doing things. I did show a bit of the video.
There are. But then there's also, when you look into the guy who designed it, like they do a little clay model. His fucking clay model was terrible. You know?
Well, I never saw that.
Yeah, there's something sus about
But we
Mount
do
Rushmore.
know that there's something, like you say, oh look, Hollywood. Now you think, oh look, Hollywood.
Right.
What it really means.
Simple as like geopolymer. They could have been simple as like they have the technology, but they've hidden it away from us, and so it looks like something amazing technological feat sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, because we can't go back and see it, but then I never knew it was called Hollywood Land.
Me either.
I can't imagine where the houses are though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you have to go and see what heritage houses. You'd have to look up heritage houses in Hollywood from 29 to 35 or something. See if there's any heritage houses.
Yeah.
And what's really quite striking is the 1920 pictures. A lot of people have got horses. There is a car there in one, but they're travelling around on horses.
Well.
Anyway, should we finish, girls?
Oh, yes.
Thank you, girls.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.